Aloha! Welcome back to the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. I'm your host and coach, Gina Ryan, and I'm so happy to be with you again today as we consider the many ways to bring your mind and body back to its natural peace and calm. In today's episode, I'm talking about the power of acceptance over reassurance. I don't know where you are at personally with your need for reassurance, but many people that I work with that are anxious or that have chronic stress or have ever visited down the wormhole, they want to be reassured, especially that they're not going to go into that fear place again. So as you start to feel stressed, you might start to look for reassurance. And if you've ever found yourself caught in the endless loop of seeking reassurance, whether it's from your doctor or your therapist, a friend, or even an online search like Google Help Me, you know that it doesn't always bring the peace that you crave. And this is fundamentally the truth that many people with anxiety have to face, that no amount of reassurance will ever fully ease the anxious mind. Of course, we all do well with a pat on the back or a little reassurance or knowing that someone is there for us should we need them. Yes, that is all normal. But what happens when we become anxious, we get obsessive about this need for reassurance, and it can take over. And this truth that no amount of reassurance will ever fully ease our anxious mind, this truth can be frustrating, especially when you're desperate to find something, anything that will soothe or calm your racing thoughts. But this constant quest for certainty only fuels anxiety further. The reason why reassurance doesn't work is that it doesn't address one of the root causes of anxiety, the mind's tendency to constantly question and worry, even when logic and evidence suggest that there's nothing to fear. The mind still has the tendency to question. So at the heart of anxiety's pervasive fear of uncertainty, our minds naturally crave certainty and control. And when faced with ambiguity, whether it's the feeling of a pounding heart or a mild symptom that might be linked to anxiety, we look for reassurance to reduce that discomfort. But reassurance only offers temporary relief, and the anxiety tends to return in a new form. So remember that. Reassurance only offers temporary relief. We are putting off today for what we're going to have to pay for tomorrow. We are going to have to deal with this at some point, and we keep putting it off. It's better to pay for it now, if you can, in the little bits and the little ways that we will talk about as we go along. And once you've reassured yourself that your heart is not about to give out, you might notice the anxiety shifts to your stomach, or you start worrying about another symptom. As soon as one fear is alleviated, another one will arise. This is the nature of anxiety. It's fluid, and it can move from one part of your life or body to another. This cycle can become exhausting, and it's easy to start feeling like there's no way out. But I've always told clients that it's a good sign if you notice that it moves from one place to the other, because then it isn't about your stomach. It isn't about your head. This is your anxiety trying to get your attention. And the cycle is screaming to you. And at this point, it will become exhausting because this simple reassurance is temporary and it comes back louder. It's easy to feel like there's no way out after a while. So what is it that we can do when reassurance doesn't provide the lasting relief that we want? Well, the first step, and I like to make sure that you guys hear this from me, is to rule out any medical issues you may be having with your healthcare team. Make sure that there's nothing physically wrong. Anxiety can manifest in a wide range of physical symptoms, and it's always important to consult with your healthcare professionals to rule out any potential underlying health issues. This step is important for peace of mind, of course, knowing that once you've done your due diligence, you can focus on anxiety as the root problem. Most of the time, after seeing a doctor and having tests run, or people have gone to the ER and had tests run, they are told that their symptoms are due to stress or anxiety. However, the anxious mind often has a hard time accepting that it's, quote, just anxiety, especially when the physical sensations feel so real and intense. Well, that's because they are real and they are intense. You are feeling them. They are there. It's important to accept that in many cases, this is simply the way your body is responding to stress, and that stress doesn't have to mean something life-threatening. Once you've ruled out any physical health conditions, it's time to let go of the need for reassurance. The more you seek comfort or certainty about every new sensation or every new fear, the more entrenched you will become in the cycle of anxiety. It's like feeding a fire. The more you feed it with reassurance, the more it will burn. Anxiety thrives on this uncertainty and doubt. By continuing to look for answers and confirmation that you're okay, you inadvertently reinforce the belief that something is really wrong. This is where the journey to healing truly begins. Learning to sit with uncertainty and knowing that you can manage anxiety without needing constant reassurance. Instead of constantly looking for the next form of reassurance, the most powerful thing you can do is acceptance. I know this isn't easy, but learning to sit with uncertainty and knowing that you can manage anxiety without needing constant reassurance is your new superpower. So instead of constantly looking for the next form of reassurance, the most powerful thing you can do is the acceptance. I know that it isn't easy, but it is the key. As Claire Weeks used to talk about in her books, she talked about it as the facing the fear. Face is the first step with her, rather than running from it. This means letting the fear and the anxiety exist without feeding it or trying to escape from it. You may never get rid of anxiety completely, and that's okay. We all will have anxious moments in our life. We will have that kind of, quote, anxiety, but you do not have to live down the wormhole. You don't have to live with a diagnosis of anxiety. The goal isn't to live a life free from anxiety or any stress. It's about living with anxiety in life, with fear in life, with stress in life, in a way that doesn't control you. You can heal by allowing the anxious thoughts and sensations to be present without the constant need to question or control them. And I assure you that the more that you live in that state of allowing the distress and the stress and the anxious feelings and sensations to be there, you are going to need to think about this less because you become resilient. They won't bother you anymore. You may not even notice these things anymore. They will not control your life. In understanding anxiety, it's crucial to recognize that anxiety is a physiological response. This is your nervous system responding to perceived threats. And when we experience stress, or fear, our body enters the fight or flight state, where adrenaline and cortisol flood the system. This can cause a range of sensations, different sensations for different people: rapid heartbeat, shallow breathing, tightness in the chest, dizziness, nausea. The gut is a beautiful example because it's one of the places that shuts down when we are in fight or flight. And so if you were trying to digest food, that's not happening, right? So we get those icky gut feelings, or you have to run to the bathroom. These are normal physiological responses to all of that adrenaline and cortisol flooding your system. These physical symptoms are not signs of something being dangerously wrong with you. They are simply your body's way of reacting to the perceived stress. Over time, with enough repetition, your nervous system can become sensitized, meaning that it can become more reactive to stress. And even small triggers can send your body into a state of alarm. One of the most powerful ways to counter this is to regulate the nervous system through calming practices. All of the practices we have talked about here over and over again: meditation, deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation or the body scan, and grounding techniques. These practices help to bring your body out of the fight or flight mode and into a more calm state. So let's get practical here. If reassurance from external sources isn't going to provide lasting relief, it's time to take matters into your own hands. Create your own calming ritual that you can use throughout the day to ground yourself and shift your nervous system into a state of relaxation. I'll give you some ideas of what this could include, but you can also come up with your own. A daily meditation practice. I harp on this because it really works. This can be a simple meditation practice where you focus on your breath for 5 or 10 minutes. The act of focusing on your breath will help you to center your mind and body and interrupt the cycle of anxious thinking. Another one could be affirmations or reminders. I have many episodes on affirmations. You can search for those just using the word affirmation. As I've mentioned before, putting a sticky note on your desk or your mirror or on your phone with a simple affirmation like, I am okay, or, you know the favorite, this too will pass, can serve as a reminder to yourself that you are not in danger and your body is simply reacting to stress. You could also do the body scan or a progressive muscle relaxation. You can find the body scan on my website, anxietycoachespodcast.com, and click the page for body scan. This is me reading it to you, but you can also learn it and say it to yourself. Or the progressive muscle relaxation, which is a technique involving tensing and relaxing muscle groups in your body to help release tension and reset your nervous system. It's a great way, both of those, to alleviate the physical discomforts of anxiety and help your body shift into a calmer state. And journaling. You know I love to put pen to paper, but if you can't do that, use your phone or your computer and tap it out. Writing your thoughts out can be incredibly therapeutic. It allows you to see your fears on paper, and you can put some distance between yourself and them. Sometimes just acknowledging your thoughts can make them less overwhelming. You can actually see them instead of having them run around in that hamster wheel in your mind. It's natural to want to fix anxiety, I know, but the truth is healing comes from acceptance, not from fixing. It may take time. Time is a salve that can soothe us. And you might need to lean into the discomfort at times, but the more you can practice sitting with your anxiety without reacting to it, the more you will reduce its power over you. As I always say, healing anxiety is about retraining your mind and body to understand that you are not in immediate danger and that anxiety does not need to be feared. Anxiety will never be fully eradicated from any of our lives. Fear will come, but with the right tools and mindset, it no longer needs to dominate your experiences. It no longer needs to be who you are. To sum it up, no reassurance will calm anxiety for good. But by learning to trust your body, practice calming techniques, and accept the discomfort, you will find that you can coexist with the fears that come, with the anxious moments that come in a much more peaceful, calm way. Your body is not broken. Your nervous system can be calmed. It wants to be calmed. It is trying to get you there. And with time, the intensity of anxiety will naturally lessen. This isn't a quick fix, but with patience and practice and persistence, you, like so many others and myself, will heal. And now for today's quote. The greatest healing therapy is friendship and love. And that's from Dr. Gabor Mate. I'll be back in a few more days with another podcast. Until then, be well and aloha.